So back to the subject that we were talking about, that how much we get labeled or how much we get devalued if we want to talk about sex or explore sex, or even we want to explore it with our partner, a healthy sex habits.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
like
It's beautiful. Like everyone deserves to have incredible sex life.
True.
I mean, yes.
Food is a pleasure in our life, right?
Yes.
We talk about food.
Yes.
We talk about preparation of food. We talk about how can we go to the best restaurant and how we can practice it in the best way possible. So we should be able to talk about, get educated about, and learn how to be open about our sexual life since from our earlier stage of life too. So for me, by the time I can open my eyes and I'm realizing my sex life, I'm like 35, 36, 37 years old. Wow. Like my youth is gone.
No.
Like not that, but my 20s are gone. My teenager years. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, it's important to educate us to the young girls, to the women, to our daughters, to our sisters, to our young sister. Like, you know, be true to yourself, explore your sexual life, learn how to enjoy yourself, learn how to be comfortable and confident with yourself, with your sexual life.
I mean, I wish that I had known a lot of what I know now in my 20s. And I see now there's a lot of young people that are really open-minded and exploring, and that's amazing. There's also a part of me that thinks that, I mean, there's just going to be life and experience and this knowing about yourself and your body and your mind that you have in your 40s that you just aren't going to have when you're in your 20s. So you can experience pleasure and exploration, and that's amazing. But it really is a special time, you know, in this like kind of 40-year-old age that made me think, you know what, I think I'm in my prime. I think this is it, you know?
I'll have to agree with you because in my 20s, like, forget about the 20s. Like, I don't even know what to say about the 20s. Let's say about 30s. Not until my late 30s. I didn't have that confidence and comfort in my own skin to just with the things that I didn't like, because if everything is perfect, like, you don't worry about it. But now there is this stuff that you think is not fine, but I'm comfortable with it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I'm fully comfortable with it, and I fully don't give a damn what other people think about it.
And then fully comfortable knowing what you want.
Yeah.
And okay if it's not what you want, you know? I'm like, you know, and when I started dating again, like a lot of guys said, they're like, oh, we love dating older women because they just know what they want, you know?
So true.
And that's great.
So true.
Yeah, and no games.
Correct.
You know? Because they're not necessary anymore.
Yeah, we like to date. Do you like to date older guys or your age or younger?
I didn't really have any boxes around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
For me, I know I don't like to date older. Like, especially if you're like 10 years older. Like, I don't think that's any possibility for me. Like, I can date a couple of years younger, but older definitely is out of question to me. I'm like, no, I'm already too hyper, and you're already 10 years older. Yeah. I don't think such a thing is possible.
Like, one of my favorite partners I have a very serious partner now. Yes. He's exactly the same age as my ex-husband. So I must have a thing for men that are exactly 3 years older than me.
That's funny.
But my favorite partner from the last few years was this incredible, adorable guy who was 13 years younger than me.
Okay.
And it was amazing, and it was really fun.
Actually, this is, I think, very good subject to talk about too. Woman dating a way younger partner, and which this is absolutely fine. This is just like how guys date someone that is way younger than themselves, and society never questions it.
Yeah, and they're questioning it like less and less, I think. And it probably depends on your circle.
We're in California,
yes,
though.
right.
So that's
what I'm saying is that, like, But we're seeing it more and more. I mean, let's take the president of France, for example, Emmanuel Macron, whose wife is gorgeous and much, much older than him, right? She was his teacher. But it's a beautiful love story.
Correct.
And there are several like that, you know?
Correct.
And so, I mean, love is love. Fun is fun, you know?
Correct.
But yeah, when I was dating, and granted, I was in LA and in the major metropolitan areas, but there just was really not a shortage of young guys that were like really interested in just good souls.
So true. The reason I'm going to say this because I limited myself. When a guy was so nice to me, so this and that, and he will come and he's like 7, 8 younger than me, 8 years younger than me. Not right now. Like I'm talking about 5, 6. When I wasn't as comfortable with myself, I was like, no, I have to date with someone around my age because how about my future? How about this? How about that? I will analyze it and
thing about being 40 is
you're like
we don't. Like, I don't need someone to be the father of my kids. I don't need someone to provide for me. I can provide for myself. Correct. Like, I just want someone to have fun with.
But this should be it even when we are 30. I wish we could have that when we were 30 because our life will be completely in a different direction. If I was that comfortable when I was 30, that like if I'm like encountering a partner that is 7, 8 years younger than me and or 5 years younger than me, and I'm not overthinking about it. I'm like, is this right or not right? Or how I'm dating a younger guy. So I give myself the options, and it will be totally okay. Maybe my life will be in different direction. But just being okay with dating a younger person, I think for a woman, it should be as beautiful and as normal, just like how guys been doing it for thousands of years.
Totally. Yep. Yeah. And I think it's becoming more and more normal.
Yes.
Let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope, for sure.
Yeah.
Tell me, we talked also about the subject of fear.
Yeah.
How do you face your fear? How do you overcome fear? And the third question, which I'm going to ask you one more time, is what is your self-talk when you face fear and uncomfortable situations?
What I actually realized, about a couple years ago, I read this book called The Happiness Advantage. And the book is all about how people who are happy are generally more successful in life. And when I read the book, something like clicked in me, and I just thought, this is it. This is the reason why I've gotten to where I am in life. It's because I am generally a very happy and optimistic person. I'm probably the most optimistic person you'll ever meet. And that, I believe that really helps to overcome a lot of fear, because I generally don't look at the bad things that could happen. I'm only thinking about all the beautiful things that could happen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that's what happened when I was 26. I mean, in every sense of the word, there was no way that it could have succeeded. I mean, I didn't know anything about construction. I was so in over my head. I mean, I was out there like pouring concrete. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Power to you.
There were so many crazy moments in this journey. But it never occurred to me that I could fail. Like, it just never even, that thought never even came into my head, And it really never does. Because the moment you, like in business, take business for example, when it doesn't look like that particular version of what you had in your mind, that vision is going to work out, well, you just try another one. There's more than one vision, you can envision it so many different ways. So you just have to open your mind and think, okay, what other way is this going to work out? Well, take Scarlet, for example. We spent a year creating all this incredible content. And I was like, okay, this content's on our website, but no one's looking at it. And it's been it's cost so much money to create all this amazing content and pay these journalists who are all like world-class journalists. And I'm like, but no one's looking at it. So this is not sustainable as a business, right? And so I sat down and thought through like, okay, well, this vision needs to shift, you know? But it was never like, oh, we failed.
I see.
It was we just have to pivot and go a different direction, you know? And so I like you said, like the mind is a very powerful thing. It's the most powerful thing. Yeah. And while I think that I was born with it, like if you read the book, they say you can train yourself to practice how to be optimistic and happy. And at this point in my life, like around when I met you, I started to like understand like, if I got to where I am today because I'm like genetically happy, where could I get in life if I actually practiced it?
Wow.
Like actually learned about it and turbocharged it, right? Oh. And so that actually started one of the more difficult years of my life. Last year was a really difficult year. Okay. And that's, you know, I've been learning, meditating and listening to podcasts and books, and got a coach, and just finished a year of coaching on this, and really trying to trying to learn what I've always kind of felt, and like trying to take it to yet another level, you know.
So. I love that. Yeah. So, you know, like I always have a self-talk. So like every time I hit like major problem, a major difficulty in my life that I'm by myself and I'm like, oh my God, how I'm going to do this? Like there's a certain self-talk that I have with myself. I'm like, Helen, you can do it. You always did it. You will do it. Yes. Like there's no failing. I will find a way. Yep. So you're like, it's so important to have that self-talk with yourself. I think that will help you to pull you from every shitty situation that you're in. Yeah. How do you talk to yourself?
Yeah. So, like I've learned, and you've probably learned too, it's like getting yourself to feel better, right? And so, just like you said, I have figured it out before. I have always figured it out. I mean, from the time I was as far back as I can remember, I've always figured it out, you know? Yeah. And if you actually sit down and think about all the things that you have overcome, like you're so powerful and so capable. And I've always figured it out. Like there's no way in our normal like day-to-day that we should have gotten to where we are today, right? Like all the odds were against us.
It was.
Yes, right? Yeah. But we've gotten here. And so you'll get to the next place. Yeah. And so like one is that like knowing and like questioning, like, and if there's any doubt is fear, like, is this really true? Like, no, it's not true, you know? And like, I guess the most powerful tool for me, a couple tools. Like one is I just always ask the universe, okay, how are we going to figure this out? You know? And because I think it's really important to allow all the options to be open and allow the universe to work its magic and not stick to a certain like, oh, it must be this way. And if it's not this way, it's not going to work out. Because as you can probably see in your life, and I can see in my life as well, the way that the world works and the way that God works is so beyond what I can imagine, right? If you had asked how my life was going to be in college, I would say, oh, I'm going to be a consultant and I'm going to work for Deloitte and Touche, and my life is 1,000,000 times better than what I had thought was going to be my ideal life, right? You couldn't even write the story yourself of what happened, God, right?
That is so true.
It's so incredible how your life turned out. You never would have even imagined that. Yeah. So don't put yourself into this box of, oh, this is how it must be, because it's going to be exponentially more magnificent, right? So it's always like
to that.
Yes, so it's always like, okay, how is this going to work out? I can't wait to see the magic.
Yeah.
And then the most important tool is being appreciative and thankful and grateful for where you are in your life and everything that you have and where it's going to be. And I read this story yesterday, actually, when I was reading, about how the universe works with gratefulness and why it's the most important and powerful tool. Because think about if you are helping a bunch of 6-year-olds with their project.
Okay.
And all these 6-year-olds are like complaining and whining, except there's one 6-year-old that's like, thank you so much for your help. I love your help. Thank you. I love doing this. I'm so like happy. Who do you want to help more?
Oh my God, of course.
You want to help the one that loves your help and is so thankful and grateful for your help, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same way. The universe wants to help the one that is already so in love and happy and so grateful for where they are. You just, if someone in your life is grateful, you just want to give them more, right? So I think that's like the most important thing for me is like, I just always want to like the like powers of the universe to know that like I'm so grateful and I know I'll get more because I am already so happy for everything that I have now.
That's so empowering and that's extremely beautiful. I love that. Okay. Good listen. I love that analogy with the kid and the 6 years old. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing. So as a kid, you just talked about that you were imagining yourself that I want to be this and that person. Did you ever imagine yourself being this strong woman? Did you had a role model in your head that like you saw a woman and I'm like, I want to be powerful like her, or I want to be this and that. So how did you become that, like gave yourself that power or looked up after a certain role model that says, this is a type of woman I want to be? Did you have that?
I mean, I never had somebody in my head that was like, oh, I must be like this person. I want to be like this person. But I've always, my mother's a very powerful woman, in that she came to the United States with me as a very small baby. They didn't know how to speak English. And I mean, these stories. Yes. But they came with very little, my mom and my dad. And they built a very solid, ended up being solid middle class life. And they were able to buy 2 houses in addition to the little one that we lived in. And when I went to college, they sold 1 house. And when my brother went to college, they sold 1 house. They put us through college, and they did everything that they, that they were meant to do. And it was so inspiring to me that they would leave their homeland to do that. It makes me very emotional.
So your mom was one of the woman that you role model for yourself.
Yeah, I just to me it's incredible to think of going to a country where you can't speak the language and then to work in a job.
I still think I cannot speak the language.
Well, you speak already a lot better than my mom does, and she's been here for a long time. But even when my dad passed away, he really couldn't speak English that well. So it was, but they, and back then, racist, even now, racism was real, and
True.
they lived in a place that was all white people.
I see. Which state you live in?
Oh, I'm Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. True.
So, I remember when I became a teenager and I always wanted to protect my parents. Whenever we went somewhere, I would speak, and I wanted them to finally be comfortable.
I see.
So, yeah.
Are you the oldest child?
I am. Yeah.
2 out of 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me see what else. So if you want to say I fought for my freedom. I lived in a society that, I wasn't able to have identity, no nothing. There was one thing that I fought for it, and that was my freedom. So what was the thing that you fought to get that for yourself?
I mean, you know, mine was just this time from when I was 37. That's what I fought for freedom now, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, we're so lucky to be here, to be able to enjoy our lives and explore whatever we want to. Mm-hmm. Really, all the boundaries that we have are in our own heads, right? Because 100%. No, for the most part, we live in the United States. We can go explore all sorts of things that we want to.
Absolutely. And in California, on top of that.
And so all of the boxes that we put inside our minds in are really our own, you know?
Yeah.
And so, for me, exploring, finding my voice and in business and in like sexuality, and really like coming into who I am and being like really proud of it and like being okay with it was really empowering. Yeah. You know, I actually got to a place where I was like, you know, if someone calls me a slut, I'm actually really proud of that.
You know, one time at some point is when you're doing something, but it's very important in what you do to have confidence in what you do. Mm-hmm. Be okay with what you do. Yeah. Own what you do. Mm-hmm. Which what you said is like, you want to call me a slut? Like, I'm actually very proud. Actually, like, I've been called the same thing too. And I'm like, it was a time that I was like, oh my God, like, what can I do for the people to have a better, like, understanding of, like, I'm not this or not that. And there was a time I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Just, number one, call me whatever you want. Number two, this is my life. Yes, exactly. If I'm paying my bills, it only matters to me what the hell I'm doing. Yeah. I want to be comfortable in my own skin, and I'm not going to follow anyone's rules. Do you follow rules?
That's a really good question. I mean, for the most part, I think rules are made to be broken.
Very nice.
And I tend to ask for forgiveness than permission. But yeah, I mean, you know, especially, I would say there are rules like in relationships, you know. I have rules with my kids. Mm-hmm. I have rules with, you know, between my partner and I. We have agreements on how we communicate and how we're going to show up in the relationship. And
so you make rules for yourself?
I wouldn't call them rules. They're more agreements.
Okay.
You know? Okay. Like, rules sounds like...
Right. So if someone asks you to follow the rules, like, you make the agreement with yourself. Like, you create the agreement for yourself and for your life. And, and you will call them boundaries.
Yes.
So it's okay if someone gives you a rule that you don't believe in them. It's okay for you to break them.
Well, I mean, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But, yeah, and I mean, we live in a society that has, you know, has laws. And
yeah. I believe, like, I think if there is a law, I know this can go, like, this can be very broad, but if there is a certain law that they absolutely don't believe, let's say someone says, you can't do abortion, let's say. This is my body. I don't give a fuck what the law says. I don't care what society says or my mom and dad says. I'm going to do what is right for me. So in general, I'm going to break the rule if it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Right? You know, to me. So that's what I was like. So if someone expects you a certain things and it says, this is a law you have to follow, will you break that law?
Well, I think, like, laws are there in general for society. But I mean, we all break laws all the time. Like, we go over the speed limit. I mean, most of us had used a fake ID at some point in our young lives. But you know, they're generally there as guidelines for society. You know, so.
Tell me, if you go back to your 17 years old Jade, what would you tell her?
Well, that's actually a really great question. I really, honestly, I wouldn't tell her anything. Like, I would just let her make the same mistakes that she made, go through the same journey. You know, I mean, I can't think of anything that I would have done differently. You know, everything led me to where I am here now. You know, like, yeah, I'm divorced, but was that a mistake? No, that wasn't a mistake, you know? And yeah, I've had some business things that didn't work out, but none of them were mistakes. Everything is part of the journey that was meant to be. So I would just stay quiet and watch.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah, I
think
never
there's
heard
anything
this
that I
one
would have
before.
changed.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, this just proves how content you are with yourself. Like, you are at a good place.
Yeah.
I love to hear that. This is
Yeah.
very, I like it. What makes you uncomfortable?
Oh, what makes me uncomfortable? I mean, you know what makes me really uncomfortable is, you know, I am uncomfortable with where things are going politically for women. I feel like we're going backwards in some ways, you know, and I want to make sure that for my daughter and my granddaughters that they have all the same rights that, you know, I had. And I mean, particularly, you know, the rolling back of Roe v. Wade was really difficult for me. And I sat on the board in Planned Parenthood, and it's a topic that's really important to me. But, you know, I hope that as an entire world that we continue pushing forward and progressing, you know. But right now in the U.S., you know, between that and then a lot of states are rolling back, you know, gay LGBT rights, and that's very scary to me, and that's makes me very, very, very uncomfortable. You know, my oldest child is transgender.
Oh yes, I forgot that. Oh my God, I want you to talk about it.
She's a really, really lovely soul. But my oldest is 14 now, and I mean,
That's
I
another.
definitely worry, you know, and there've already been like uncomfortable incidences, and like no one wants their child to have anything other than an easy life, you know, and that's definitely a struggle. Like, people don't choose to be that way, you know, like to be born something that they're not, you know. That's not a choice that they make. It's a struggle, you know. So I hope that the world is a better place for her. Yeah.
I hope that too.
Yeah.
I completely forgot, because even that's about you and handling your own child in this, being open-minded and just be so free with her and allowing her to practice to be fully who she is. That's like wow to you. Congratulations.
Yeah. No, it's
As a parent, as a
it's
mom.
what any parent would do with their kids, I believe. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Wow. There is so many countries and there are so many cultures that they will kill their own parents, their own kids. So that's definitely.
I cannot even.
Yeah. Like empowering your kid with what they are is very powerful. Okay, thank you so much for being with us with Jade Sheppard and in Femme Fatale by Helen. I really appreciate your time and looking forward to be with you guys again.